Welcome to the FlexingUp podcast brought to you by Oncore. My name's Craig Watson, and I'm really excited to be here today with Christian Clark, CEO, and Adam Keynes, CPO, and both co-founders of Upplft. Welcome, guys.
Hi, Craig. How are you?
It's really good to talk to you. I mean, it's a crazy day down here where I am in Melbourne, and at any stage the power might go off, and we hope it doesn't, because we've got some really exciting things to talk about today. I reckon we get straight into it, hey? So
Yeah, go for it.
yeah. So look, what we really want to talk about is, I guess, new and innovative ways of securing and sourcing talent, particularly in the contractor and on-demand place. You know, traditionally, companies have been almost forced to work with large third-party recruitment agencies or specialist recruitment agencies, in particular, to source the type of talent that works in a freelance or on-demand capacity. So, what's changing out there?
Well, I think the question should be, what isn't changing out there? I think the big difference between now and probably 10, 15 years ago in the industry is certainly overlaid with what's happening economically and the cost pressures that all organizations face, be that may the recruiter or large enterprises themselves. And there's certainly cost pressures that are being forced down on the supply chain, which really affects everyone in that supply chain. Additionally, you've obviously got this new wave of technologies that are coming into the industry to help improve what has been a very stagnant industry for the past 15, 20 years from a technology perspective. You know, there's some smart people, some great people, some really great recruiters, but I'm sure a lot of it is being cost prohibitive to try and bring these new technologies online in such a process. And, you know, at the top end of town with the tier one enterprise organizations, in conjunction with the bigger agencies that manage a lot of the RPOs and MSPs, between both of them, the rest of the industry is really on the outside in terms of being able to bring to the table the latest technologies or delivery capabilities within their own organizations.
Yeah. And Adam, this isn't just merely an observation. There's some raw data to back this up. And you made a recent LinkedIn post, and I don't know whether you've got it in front of you, but I've got the highlights if you want me to give you some, and I'll lead you into what your thoughts are. So you've said what is happening in the talent market. Seek reported a 13% decline in annual earnings and a $600 million wiped off their share price. Page Group reported a 35% year-on-year decline in revenue. Hudson RPO global revenue fell 20%, and Manpower Group Australia dropped 45% in revenue year-on-year for June quarter. So tip us into, I mean, that's raw data there, and a lot of that would be tied to contingent workforce. So tell us a little bit more about the insights there.
Yeah, I think, as you said, a number of the large groups are taking a bit of a hit, and I think that the kind of thematic that we're seeing is, companies are trying to do things themselves a lot more. So, reported today, even job ads are down again 2.1%. So, you're seeing less job ads that are actually out there, which would suggest that there's less companies that have got roles that they're actively trying to hunt for those companies. And companies are going to market themselves. They're, as Christian mentioned, there's new tools that are coming out almost every week that will help you find, match, source smarter and easier using technologies like AI. So I think companies are becoming a lot more savvy and sort of removing those dependencies on outside help or bringing in new tools and new people to be smarter, be quicker and more efficient in their hiring processes. And that's probably, the main reasons, like Christian said, is that cost pressure.
Yeah, it's like a perfect storm coming, because I guess if we look back to, no one wants to say the C word, but COVID, where during that time, tech development came at a rapid race because people were forced to use, things like Zoom, all things that they weren't, they were available but weren't being forced to use. And now the world's a lot more open to tech advancements. And not only that, we've come out now the other side, and some of the money that some of these organizations had has has run out a bit. There's a lot more, like you said, cost pressure, which has impacted hiring to an extent. But now we're coming into an area where hiring wants to start up again, and businesses are going to be way more open to looking at new ways of doing things, particularly if it's going to help them save some money. So, that traditional agency model of chucking a 25% margin on whatever they do or whatever it might be. If the larger the enterprise, probably the more they can margin squeeze. But, there's always that high margin, and the value was probably never really there to the extent that it was being charged. And now that there's these new tech solutions that we've got access to, companies are really embracing it. Are you finding that out in the market?
I think it's a great question. I think the challenge for a lot of the larger organizations embracing this new tech is some of it is not tried and trusted. And and I think on one of your prior podcasts with Damien from Oncore, Damien was talking about a lot of the compliance and regulatory piece that is now more cumbersome than it's ever been. So on top of the technology piece, you've also got this compliance regulatory piece that you can't get away from, that is as important to enterprise organizations as the technology is. And I think the deals that they've currently got in place with a lot of these larger companies who have got the big RPOs, the MSPs, they certainly don't deploy the technology the way it should. And it stops them having broader conversations with their clients around productivity gains internally, how to work better with those organizations to really drive business outcomes by using the latest technologies that are coming through, whether that be from an acquisition perspective, compliance, background checks, whatever it looks like, assessments. But I think there needs to be a complete reset around the conversation to start with.
Yeah. Adam, how can organizations sort of get the best of both worlds then? So have close partners that they can work well with, as well as the systems that support with hiring quickly and efficiently, because that seems to be a bit of a barrier.
Yeah, the panacea of having all of that would be great. Yeah, like Christian said, a lot of these tools are kind of untrusted, and is an AI bot going to go out and hunt down somebody and find the right person and match them specifically to your business? Probably not right now, but there is ways that you can leverage those tools to create efficiencies in your workflows and create productivity, and that's sort of where we see, we're in a people business, and people still need to be involved, right? So we think that you can empower companies through a platform-based approach using technology such as AI to create productivity and efficiency, but be very focused on an experience, because ultimately that's really what you're trying to do. Is the first time you touch a candidate is the first time they may have even heard of your company, right? So it's really important when companies are looking to use a partner or to use technology, how it's going to impact those first impressions, how that technology is going to interact with your business internally and externally as well, to really create a great experience overall for everybody involved.
So I know the team at Upplft are partnering with Oncore with some exciting stuff moving forward. How much can you reveal? What can you tell us about that partnership? Either one of you can go first.
A question. No, I mean, look, from the partnership itself is to do one of a couple of things. It's to really help elevate the industry and the people that work and the businesses within the industry, from the recruiter on one side to the enterprise on the other, and enabling them to use technology the way that we think that technology should be utilized, as well as provide, just touching on what Adam said before, as well as providing a better experience for all parties in an ecosystem that is safe and trusted. I think at the moment there isn't one that we really feel is a trusted ecosystem, and that's part of what we're trying to do with Oncore and leveraging both parts of our business to provide the market and the integrated solution.
Yeah. So I guess using a combination of tech stroke AI solution with what already Encore's got in place and their reliability over a number of years to support their clients and also provide some cost savings to customers along the way. Is that would that be something that is the end game of what's going on here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the cost consideration is always central to all conversations, right?
Yeah.
That's the commercial reality to it. I think if we can, along the way, if we can tick off a few of these boxes around experiences and the cost benefit and get all the parties to buy into what we're doing, there's no reason why everybody wins out of it. It's not about one organization winning, right? Upplft is part of it. And I think that's the problem with a lot of these big talent deals in the marketplace is that they benefit one or two people. They don't benefit an ecosystem of suppliers or individuals or companies. They really support the bottom line to the big behemoths, right?
Yeah, yeah. And even when they're interacting with that MSP or RPO functionality, there's still a disconnect because it's not there's that real commercial element that sits behind it. How much money can we make out of this deal?
Yeah.
Is sort of the first thing. I mean, there's quality there. Obviously, I'm not disrespecting any of the MSP
No, no, no.
solutions out there, but in terms of the value piece of what they're providing, it can be done better, less expensive, and probably closer to what the company themselves want or be part of the company.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
definitely.
Yeah, it helps all parties with their brand. Yeah, and the big beneficiary of all this is the contractor themselves, right? Yeah, they have they're able to get transparency, better communication, see where the roles are. Yeah, they're the winner out of all this, more so as much as the what's the wording there? The company, the enterprise themselves, right?
And that's it because the contingent worker has never been more valued than what they are now, and part of that is that you
Yeah.
know almost I think I was hearing a stat that almost 50% of workers in the US now are contingent or freelance or not a part of a permanent workforce. So it's becoming bigger as a part or a segment of the labor market every single year. More people are talking about it. I've been to so many conferences over the last 12 months where the contingent workforce was almost the number one topic that people wanted to talk about and understand better. And a huge part of that is the worker, the contractor or the contingent worker. And if you can't keep them happy or keep them informed, then eventually they're going to veer away and your funnel of people who can do jobs for you will dry up.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and contingent workers are people too, and they've been kind of slightly ignored over time as it's just been seen as a way to like very quickly augment a team for a short period of time. But now the change is happening not just because companies are looking at how they can have a more flexible workforce, to mitigate economic factors, for example, but also people are now also looking at how they want to work as well, and that's changing. The next generation of workers that are coming into the workforce are more flexible. They're not unloyal, but they want to do lots of different things, and that kind of work arrangement gives them that flexibility. So what we're trying to do is not just provide, bottom line is obviously the kind of number one for most companies, and productivity is great as well. But also there's in the kind of the other tangible benefits. If you have a good experience with onboarding, if you have a good experience with matching the right people, then they perform better and they might stay longer, and you can then redeploy them onto new projects or whatever it might be. So, we can really start to create a life cycle experience for contractors and, keep them in an ecosystem where they can continue to evolve.
And the recent Oncore State of Contracting report, showed that one of the top wants or needs of the contractor is to be recognized as a career. So to have that onboarding piece and have that continual development and an understanding of what's next, and it's not just so segmented, is really important to the worker. And that's in that space.
Yeah, it is.
Definitely.
It is, and it would be great if we had a government that could embrace that thought process as well, because these are the external forces that start to impact on these behaviours in terms of contracting as a career.
Yeah, I think you're right. And not only are we in a brave new age of companies embracing tech when it's right, but the way of work is going to force governments to start saying, well, hang on, we need to recognise this sector because it's becoming larger and larger, and eventually will be larger than the permanent workforce. So, it's going to be incumbent on governments to make the change to really embrace it.
Yeah, and all these little conversations and these points around government, federal and state. If you've got a company in Canberra that wants to access talent in Northern Territory or WA, Melbourne, etc., you've got different licensing requirements, payroll taxes. That is, it's just the worst tax in the world. There's a lot of things that just need to be improved to help that process along.
Couldn't agree with you more. The licensing arrangements that are state-based are really a money grab.
Totally.
Yeah, it does affect the industry because people who want to employ in that area need to be licensed, and the licensing is so expensive. Any external agency that wants to support or work in that place has to also be. It's quite regulatory, and even with the recent changes to legislation around contracts, everything is sort of like, I suppose at the end it'll be clearer, but in the interim it's so much more muddy because we've been sent down these different tracks and boxes that have to be ticked. So it's a difficult industry, but one that's exciting for people who are part of it, and also very exciting for the change that's happening right now.
It's a brilliant industry. It really is. And there's some really talented people that have got some great ideas. There's some people that are working on some brilliant technology solutions and for various aspects of the ecosystem that help all parties. It just needs people to embrace the technology transformation that's occurring, and give it a chance. Right? It just needs a bit of time to be embedded in organizations so people can see the real benefits. And that's probably the hardest part with any of the technology transformational parts around this. It just takes time to see those the realization of benefits. Same as any digital transformation, right?
And in terms of anybody who may be listening from an enterprise perspective who want to understand a little bit more about Upplft and what they do, what would be the best way to contact? Would it be via website, LinkedIn? How best would someone make contact with Upplft?
Yeah, link in with us directly. Contact us directly. LinkedIn, we've got a web page. We've got a contact us page. But always happy to have conversations with those companies. Yeah,
and look, the next year is going to be on probably even more. The next 5 years is going to be amazing in this contingent space. Like I said, everybody's talking about it. Everybody has challenges and everybody have problems that needs to be solved in that space that have workers there. And partnerships with Upplft and Oncore and with people that really understand the industry, where it's only going to get better. So, hey, thanks for coming on today, both of you guys. And I know that you're very busy, so you can go out there and, hopefully people will be contacting you from this real quick, and you can have a chat and, continue that discussion on the contingent workforce and making it better in Australia and globally. So thanks very much.
No, definitely. No, thanks for your time, Craig. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to this episode. Make sure to subscribe via your preferred podcast platform, and for more information on Oncore, visit oncoreservices.com.